My name's Alan McPherson. I grew up in the northeast coast, Northumberland, in a small coal mining village. By the age of 13, I got interested in explorers, and I'd have the library van that used to come to our village bring me books. So as a kid, I was reading a lot about Amundsen and Nansen and Stephenson, and became interested in climbing and exploration. And so I started climbing as a kid, which was kind of unusual in our village. And myself and a friend started rock climbing. So it was likely that I was going to go down and be a coal miner because everyone else from my school went down the mine or worked on the surface if they were good at drafting or if they were good at math. But I wanted something different. So I ended up in medical school when I was 17, did a little degree in physiology, and then finished my medical school. And then shortly after that, I learned to dive and then went to Antarctica for the first time, Signy Islands, South Orkney Islands, stayed there for 18 months helping the marine biologists, and then watching every day the changes of the weather, the changes of the ice, and then watching creatures come home, the seals and then the penguins, and then watching them leave again and then winter start. So that was my first time down here in 85. And then I came down again for 18 months to Adelaide Island, Rotherham Research Station, and did a lot of traveling with the last of the dog teams, which was a real pleasure. So the dogs were going to be phased out, and we managed to run them in the Antarctic winter over 1,000 miles to local mountains and got up many of the peaks on Adelaide Island, and then went off in the summer with geologists to collect samples. And then since then I've come back in various ways: science support, whale research, driving zodiacs to sample blubber from whales and do drone studies. I've done grass studies in South Georgia, and then I assisted with some bird research in South Georgia, ship-based. And then for the last 10 years, on and off, I've been working in this industry, which is an expedition cruise industry, and currently working with Quark, which is how this video came to be. Future, I'm not sure that I will continue in this industry, but I'm going to apply for some base commander jobs in the Antarctic and return to station science. The big changes I've noticed is many of the glaciers I've known have receded a good way, so they're obvious changes. There's been big changes in the pack ice, how early it leaves and how much forms. So it's now much easier to travel by ship here than it was when I first came down. Occasionally you could not get into a station because of fast ice, but now most bases can be reached fairly easily by ship. Not even icebreakers. So the pack ice is not forming as much, the pack ice is leaving earlier. So that's unfortunate for the animals that are dependent upon it. I've seen changes in the penguin colonies. I've seen the Gen 2 penguins are doing really well, and they're in some areas outbreeding the chinstrap penguins, and that's a climate thing, that's a feeding choice thing. The Gen 2s are not so sensitive to water and food changes, so they're doing really well. Chinstraps perhaps less so. And another big change is the number of ships, cruise ships and expedition ships working down here. I think it's reaching an uncomfortable maximum already, and there are plans to build many more, because I think the cruise line industries have discovered there's money to be made in expedition cruising. And so I think more and more vessels are going to come down. But the bigger vessels don't land, and whether they will impact anything other than the other visitors, I don't know. I suspect they'll have less impact on the wildlife than many more smaller ships. So the only thing it will change is the experience of the people traveling here to see something wild and remote, and they're going to see ships every day.